I'm Anna,
I'm Jessica.
and this is the Paranoia Pair.
My new icon and hero. Her name is Anita Ekberg, and she in the 1960s chased paparazzi around her home with a bow and arrow,
There
and
was
I just love that. Like, I can send it to you.
there was this guy in Norway, I believe, a few years back that had a standoff with the local police, and it wasn't with guns; it was with his bow and arrow. I'm like, that's the
That's
most,
very Netherlands.
yeah.
She is um everything I aspire to be. And, like, in one of the pictures, she's, like, full on, like, wrestling the guy, and you can see the bow on the ground beside her. But, like, they followed her home from a nightclub, so, like and she repeatedly asked them to leave her alone. And she proceeded to beat one of the people up. But, like, way to go, Anita Ekberg. I don't even know who this lady is, but I love her.
I like that first picture of her.
Yeah, so do I. It kind of her bow looks like kind of like it's like a light. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm gonna let you pick the first story because two of them come from the same subreddit. Okay. Um, do we want at first I thought I was going crazy, but now I'm pretty sure someone has been entering my apartment while I'm at work. I work in a haunted mansion, or um, it's literally just titled I don't know what just happened.
That one.
Okay. This is from the subreddit True Scary Stories. It's titled I don't know what just happened. It literally was posted 12 hours ago, and I found it this morning,
Hell
so
yeah.
I'm like, perfect timing. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes trying to calm down, but my hands are still shaking so bad, I can barely type. I just need to write this out somewhere because I don't know what else to do, and I swear to God, this just happened. I was driving home from work tonight later than usual because my manager asked me to stay and help close. I took my usual route on the back route, you know, those long 2-lane roads where there's no streetlights and no real shoulder, just a ditch and some trees. I drive it almost every day and I've never felt weird about it. But tonight, it was just different. No cars, no houses with porch lights on, just that kind of heavy dark where your headlights feel too small. About halfway down, I noticed something in the road up ahead. At first, I thought it was a deer because that's pretty common out here, so I slowed way down. But when I got closer, it wasn't moving, just standing there. At first, it looked like a man, but I couldn't make out any details because he was facing away from me. No reflective gear, no flashlight, nothing. I rolled my window down a crack to maybe call out, but before I could say anything, he just stepped off into the trees. Not hurried or anything, it was like he was waiting. I drove past really slowly and tried to look, but my high beams didn't reach far enough. I almost convinced myself it was just some drunk guy walking home or something. It reminds me, I was driving around town, and there was this guy who was walking home and he was very, very, very drunk and he was literally all over the place and he ran into someone's car. Someone's parked car
Was
in
this
their
in the daytime?
driveway. Yeah,
That's amazing.
it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm
Well,
just like, way to go, King.
one time,
Someone did call the police on him though.
bastards. One time I was coming home from when I worked at the nursing home, and I was driving past Walgreens and I seen a man just laying in the sidewalk, and it was like
Oh
11 o'clock at
god.
night and it was winter. And so I like stopped and I went into the Walgreens thing, and it was some old drunk man, and he had fallen down. And then luckily this big truck came and stopped too. And I was trying to help him up and everything. And then he started asking. And at this point, the guy in the truck had came up to me, and he was like a
Mhm.
middle aged man. And this old man, old drunk guy was like asking me if I would take him home. And I was like looking at like the 50-year-old man, like begging for help because I was like, you cannot make a 20-year-old woman
No.
take home this old drunk guy at night. And finally he offered to take him home. But like, I really thought that this, because like I kept going, no, 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 I can't take you home. And he's like, just take me home. I'm right there. I was like, I cannot take you home. And then finally this guy offered. Also, I just wanted to say, you see a scary dark figure walking into the woods and your reaction is to slow down. Mine would have been to
He at
speed.
first he was in the road.
Yeah, but like mine would have been to speed up. If I'm alone,
Someone standing in the middle of the road, I'm slowing down. I don't wanna hit them.
yeah, to go around them, I'm not looking.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna
At
go around.
night, on a
No,
road
I'm going around.
with no streetlights,
I'm going around.
I'm not slowing down. That's how you
It's
get
none of my
attacked.
business whatever he's up
No,
to.
I'm calling the cops while
I'm
I'm
not even
speeding.
calling the cops.
I mean, maybe you should call the cops, but, like, I'm not slowing down,
I am minding my business
literally.
in all ways possible. I picked up speed again, heart racing, trying to shake it off, but maybe a mile later, I swear I saw the same figure standing at the edge of the road again. Same posture, this time facing me.
Sorry, now I imagined it as Edward Cullen,
Oh god.
and as soon as you pass, he
As if
does
you can outrun
yeah, he
me.
does the really fast run.
I slammed on the brakes so hard, everything in my passenger seat went flying. He didn't move. I couldn't even see his face, just this pale oval where his head should be. I sat there frozen for what felt like forever. Then I just floored it and swerved around him. My windows were up, but I swear I heard something. Not yelling, not words. More like this awful low sound, like when someone drags furniture across the floor. Hate that. The worst part is, when I finally got back into town, I glanced in my rearview mirror, and for a second, I thought I saw someone sitting in my back seat, just the shape of a head in the corner. I nearly crashed trying to pull over into a gas station. The car was empty, doors still locked. I even checked under the seats with my phone flashlight like an idiot. Nothing there. I've been home for maybe an hour now. Every creak in this house makes me jump. I keep looking out of my front window, expecting to see someone standing at the end of my driveway, and at least a couple of times I swore I did. I don't even know what I'm asking for by posting this. Has anyone seen something like this before? I don't believe in ghosts or whatever, but I can't explain how he was in two places, miles apart, in less than a minute. I feel sick. I don't even want to go to sleep.
The like, concept of looking in your rearview mirror and seeing a face there is so terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest fears. Okay, mine's from Our Paranormal, and it's an encounter. Something is stalking outside of my house. This is both experiences that have happened in the past and something that have happened tonight that scared the shit out of me. I have wanted to post for a while, but this one seemed like a homeless person at first. I have a few other encounters I'm tempted to put in from when I was very young, but I'm worried I was just your average overactive kid. Oh, and sorry if some of what I say doesn't make sense because my adrenaline is through the roof and fight or flight instincts are going nuts. So, for a few months now, something weird has been hanging around outside of my house. The first time it became apparent was when one night I was in the basement. Outside the window is a porch. There is a light switch for the lights by the door. I went upstairs for a bit when I realized later I left the lights on. I went downstairs to turn them off. When I came down, the porch lights were on. Now, my father has tried endlessly to hook them to a timer with no success to his disappointment. I assumed that he had finally figured out and paid the lights no mind. What I hadn't known was my dad had given up weeks ago and put in an average light switch. Next morning, I go down and see the lights are still on. I assume the timer didn't turn off, so I go to shut them off and discover to my shock it's a switch. This causes me to panic a bit because that meant someone had been out there and the rest of my family was asleep that night, and quite likely they could have been watching me. By the way, I have the extreme fear of being watched. A few weeks later, I'm sitting downstairs on the couch. I'm home alone. It's dead of night, and my dog, who's very relaxed with frequent events, but has a habit of being too chill sometimes, suddenly she perks up and looks to the window out of habit. I look with her and see something hunched white dropping down over our fence and run past the windows. Thanks to the dirty windows and the glare of the lights, I couldn't even hope to make out what I saw or how big it was, but I yelped, panicked, and called my buddies. They were skeptical and told me it was probably a raccoon, and I ended up agreeing. I went outside, my dogs, my older chocolate lab, and my German puggle. German Shepherd Pug Beagle mix, I'm complaining.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that dog does not deserve that life.
No.
The ones who had been with me. I went out trying to see what it was right away. My dogs had two very different reactions. The lab was pacing and sniffing, looking around and being very anxious. The other was wagging her tail and looking at the trees the way she does when I have treats. Suddenly, from the trees, I hear a loud groan. These are big, strong, old trees, and they don't groan, not unless something is on them. And the mountain lion who went up them a year ago proved that. Parentheses, Midwest United States, by the way. Now, I tried shining a light up there, but saw nothing. But the trees are thick, and it wasn't until that mountain lion growled last time that I saw him up there in broad daylight. Parentheses, FYI, it is weird seeing mountain lions here. When authorities came, though they ended up determining it was sick and malnourished, so they weren't shocked it wandered into the area. I ended up going inside because my puggle was moving between the trees with the same look. My lab seemed to be getting increasingly anxious, but now was staying away from the trees and just watching them. My puggle and I wasn't seeing anything, so the fight or flight made this difficult. But all night I heard weird things. The worst was a loud slam, like a tree branch had fallen, but there was nothing there. And my puggle kept going to windows and acting happy about being kept in. But the rest was like the sound of something on the roof, pebbles being thrown at the window, and the return of a woodpecker who should have been dead after my cats got the poor thing with a vengeance. Parentheses, I don't know where they were in all this. Now, here was the climax that drove me here. It's been up a couple of months now, and I've mostly forgotten about it. Occasionally, I'll hear something weird on the front porch, or footsteps, or the porch lights will get turned on mysteriously. But they're small things. Tonight, I was with my sister and FaceTiming with a friend in the basement again when we hear screeching sounds. Now, my first concern was my two of three cat siblings who had taken over the area, which meant they liked to fight raccoons.
Oh.
Parentheses, dumb cats. Now, the sound didn't sound like any raccoon I'd ever heard, but they made odd sounds, especially when they are being attacked. So I run to the window in the next room where I believe I'll be able to see them and then go out to break up the fight from a safe distance. But instead, I let out a scream and a flurry of curse words. Outside, standing taller than me for sure, I'm 6 foot, so pretty tall, was a gaunt white humanoid figure with its back turned to the window. When I got back to the window and looked out, it was nowhere to be seen. I at first thought it was my mind playing tricks on me. There was snow on the ground, and I was dying for a rational explanation because it scared me bad. I was shaking. I told my sister, and she laughed at me. I went
That's
upstairs.
a normal sister thing to do.
No, I'm not trusting my sister. I went upstairs later that night and got everything ready for the night and locked up. When I went back up, I froze. I could see my cat, who seemed agitated but calm for the most part, on the garage roof looking at something on my porch. That something was the same white figure, back turned again, except this time it was squatted down and looking at my cat. It didn't seem confrontational itself, but then for God's sakes, this sent me into tears. It turned its whole body, twisted, and seemed to kind of straighten as it did. I can only think of a meerkat as an example, but it was so sudden I was sure I heard bones crack through the window. I never saw the face. As soon as it turned, flight or fight kicked in and ran into my room. And I ran into my room as fast as I could. The last thing I saw of it as I slammed my door was it on the railing as it leaped towards what I assumed was the nearby tree. Ever since, I've been in my room, shaking, crying, wheezing in a hysterical fit. I like paranormal stuff. It's hard. No one on I like paranormal stuff, but it's a hard no on experiencing it. Now that I calmed down enough to type, I've been thinking about it and its actions, and back to the previous events, I'm trying to explain this to myself. I at first drew a comparison to the creepy pasta creature, the rake. That didn't help my panic, as you can imagine, but the rake was highly hostile. This thing seemed calm and relaxed most of the time. I didn't know what I saw, and it's freaking me out, and I want this down before I go crying into sleep. Please, when I wake up, give me an explanation because I don't know what this is. I don't want this thing to be real. I don't know. I need to sleep. Sorry for the bad post. It happened 5 years ago. I wonder if there's a follow up on the post. Well, doesn't look like.
This one is from the subreddit True Scary Stories again. It's called I Work in a Haunted Mansion, literally. I'm a behavioral technician. I got a new job back in September at what's considered a luxury drug and alcohol rehab facility. The facility is a huge mansion that looks like a mix of the Banks Bel Air mansion, on Fresh Prince, or a mini White House. Did you watch Fresh Prince of Bel Air? I did not. So you
They were rich
probably.
folk.
Okay. It's 3 levels, has 13 rooms that all have private bathrooms with jacuzzi hot tubs. There's a gym, 3 living rooms, a huge commercial kitchen, a ballroom slash yoga studio, doctor's office, huge garden, and an elevator. On my first week, I had 2 clients tell me it's haunted, and I laughed it off. My schedule is 11 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., so majority of the time all the clients are asleep and it's just me and a nurse in this huge house, so it's quiet. My office is on the second floor, with the nurse's office with the kitchen and huge pantry on the first floor. The pantry is locked at all times, and the nurse has the key. A couple of weeks ago, the nurse came stomping up the stairs, yelling at me, saying I scared her, hiding in the pantry. I'm lost because I haven't left my office, and when I tell her that, she goes pale, and she's like, "You weren't just in the pantry and yelled knock knock?" I
Fuck
s-
that.
I say, "No, how could I be when you have the key?" She walks out. 10 minutes later, I hear her talking, so I go down to her office and she's down on her knees praying in Punjabi. At 6 a.m., the chef and handyman clock in, ask how our night was, and I jokingly say Casper scared Nurse J in the pantry. The chef goes, "Oh, that's K if it was in the pantry." I'm like, "What the fuck?" Then he goes on to say that he's worked here for 15 years and it used to be a retirement home, so lots of residents passed away here. He named off certain residents and where their ghosts have been seen, saying they've always been kind and not malicious type hauntings. Nurse J put in her 2 week notice and is no longer here. I hear footsteps, lights flicker, and the fireplaces randomly come on, but I haven't had anything actually speak to me like Nurse J though. My pay is significantly higher than average, and my supervisor says it's because he can't keep night shift staff. I think it's because it's haunted, and my pay is too good to scare me away. And then I like how someone in the comments said the ghost didn't even get a chance to finish that knock knock joke.
I know that's what I was wondering what the joke was gonna be. Okay. My next story also comes from our paranormal, and it is another experience story. All right. So my partner and I have been having multiple very scary experiences at our favorite disc golf course, and that was a pretty wild sentence because people play disc golf. It just blows my mind. We were forced to do that in gym class, and
Yeah.
then people actually like make a hobby out of it. We often go to the Cottonwood Disc Golf Course to eat and play, as it's been a very comfortable, convenient place to do so. But within the past month or so, we've experienced a lot of weird and scary things that make us not want to go back alone.
Also, I'm just imagining these people are all old.
You gotta be young, I feel like, to play disc golf.
Really?
Too much moving.
I picture like 45-year-olds.
Oh, I thought you meant like 80, because I was like, no, no, like old man could like twist his body that way still, you
I
know?
say as someone approaching their 30s.
I know. My cousin was saying something about her husband's friend almost became a mistress to this old woman, and he didn't know that she was married. And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, a sugar mama." I said, "How old was she?" Expecting like 50s, 60s. She goes 32, and I was like, "That's like not." She's 21, by the way, so it makes sense. But it threw me off because I was like, I was expecting like old, not
Mhm.
2 years away from my age.
Yeah.
Anyways, the first thing we both experienced was honestly the most horrifying of my night. We went to the park to eat some calzones and relax as per usual.
I take back my statement about them being old. Old people do not eat calzones.
Um, However, the area, although lit normally, seemed darker than usual and 100% silent. My partner then felt very, very odd and watched, and locked the doors without saying a word. Eventually, they spotted some kind of fabric in the right mirror outside of the car, flapping around. Feeling immediately unsettled, they tried to focus on other things. I was oblivious to the entirety of this until I saw the same piece of fabric flapping outside as well, and a wave of intense dread and unease washed over me. Without questioning a thing, we drove away as fast as we could. The feeling didn't leave until next morning, though, and we drove for multiple hours to try and avoid it. Even driving close to downtown, which was the only thing that made it feel even slightly better, until we left the area again. We felt watched within our bedrooms the entire night afterwards. Eventually, while thinking on the experience, they got what they described as a flash of a creature's face, and we were too frightened to describe it. A couple weeks later, after calming down from the adventure, I'd seen a very tall, pale, yet dark skinned creature, almost as if it were oily. It had concerningly long arms and looked somehow rough. It's difficult to explain. I too got a flash of its face while driving away, which was highly unsettling. But my partner didn't seem to notice, so I kept quiet about the whole thing. And just tonight, while disc golfing, they saw some sort of long armed humanoid watching us from the darkness of the woods surrounding us. And we finally discussed our individual faces we saw. and the descriptions matched exactly: a pale face with dark eyes, a wide mouth that could be understood as smiling, with bits of skin connecting the top and bottom lips,
Ew.
and a rough but oily complexion. We're mostly posting this to find out more information on it, as no post we've seen has matched our description exactly, and what we want to know if anyone has seen something like this at the park or had similar experiences. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to send you all of these.
I'm going to read the update because there is an update to this
Hell yeah.
after, even though it's at the top.
I fucking love updates.
Okay.
Let's go.
It's from
Sorry, I had to get that one. I got the zooms. I had to get that out. We're good.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Okay. This is from the subreddit Let's Not Meet. And it's titled, At First I Thought I Was Going Crazy, but now I'm pretty sure somebody has been entering my apartment while I'm at work. So this has been happening for about a year and a half now, and tonight something happened that finally made me and my boyfriend realize I wasn't imagining things. About a year and a half ago, after living in my apartment for over 5 years, I all of a sudden started noticing that things would be out of place when I would get home from work. Things that also seemed out of place on purpose to mess with my OCD. Sometimes I would notice knives that were put back into the knife block the wrong way, or little ornaments that I would have around the house being turned around to face the wrong way. Sometimes my clothes were hung up in my closet the wrong way. Little things like that where I would feel something was off, but there was no way to prove it. And in all honesty, could have just been me being absent minded when putting things away. After a couple months of things randomly being out of place and always having that creeped out feeling, things stopped going out of place, and I put it to the back of my mind and stopped being so paranoid. And I moved on with my life. That is until 2 weeks ago. For the past couple weeks, my cat has seriously been trying to tell me something when I have gotten home from work. Any of you who have a cat will know that exact meow. It's not an I'm hungry or I'm pissed off because you have been at work all day meow, but like a oh my god, you will never believe what happened meow, if that makes sense.
It does.
I didn't really think anything of it because cats can be jerks sometimes, and I just assumed he was probably just bored and wanted to complain. The other day, when I came home from work, I noticed a pair of balled up socks that do not belong to me sitting on my bedroom floor. My boyfriend came over the next night and I told him he had left a pair of his socks here when he had stayed over on the weekend. He looked at the socks and said that they were not his. My heart sunk and so did his. We both knew that someone had been coming into my house again, and
She's
that I
actually
probably
cheating.
wasn't imagining it the first time. A few days later, I came home from work and found a bag from a lingerie store on top of my couch. It was empty. This bag had come from inside my house, as I had just bought a bathing suit from that store a couple weeks prior, and the receipt for that was in the bag. At first, I thought my cat might have dragged it there, but upon inspecting the bag, there were no teeth marks, and my cat couldn't have opened the closet door and have gone into the paper cardboard recycling that I have kept in there on top of the shelf. The final and perhaps the most unsettling thing happened tonight. My boyfriend met me after work and we went out for dinner. We went back to my apartment after, and I went to unlock my door and noticed that it was already unlocked. Locking the door when I leave my house is the one thing I am most OCD about. I don't just double and triple check it, I quadruple check it. It is not just a habit I have, but something that is deeply ingrained into me. Everyone who knows me knows this about me. You with your oven.
I'm actually in my doorknobs too at nighttime. I have to check it and I have to jiggle it multiple times. And then how you have like the little latch on it that goes like sideways and then up and down.
Mhm.
I have to stick my finger because when it's locked, it goes up and down. So I stick my fingers on it and then I feel that it's pointed down. I have to do that with both of my doors multiple times.
Everyone who knows me knows this about me, as I even do it with their doors. I have to check 4 times or I get an icky feeling. Even my boyfriend was on red alert when he noticed my door was unlocked. We entered my house and I was checking to see if anything was out of place. He ran to the sliding glass door and tugged it, and it opened right up. I never leave that door unlocked. He witnessed me lock it on Sunday when I closed the door because it was getting too cold. He saw me check it 4 times. I have not opened it since then. We are both convinced someone has been in my house. Whoever has been coming in somehow has a key. The fact that they left the sliding door unlocked makes me think that maybe they are planning to come back with ill intentions. If they have a key, why would they need to unlock the sliding door? Unless they don't want to be identified by security cameras at the front of my door. Um, Either way, I have already ordered a security system, but unfortunately, it will not arrive for a few days. And then there is two updates. This one says, "Thank you for all your responses, kind words, and advice. I am working right now, so it's hard for me to be able to respond to everything, but I just want to update you all. I called the police this morning and talked to an officer who basically told me that as of right now, there's nothing really they can do unless this escalates. He did say that I was right to call in so that they were aware that something might be happening. He also said that getting security cameras is a good idea, as well as getting my landlord to change the locks. He also said that they will send a patrol car down my street every once in a while to make sure no one is lurking about." And then the most recent update is I changed my locks the other day and set up my security cameras. So far, nothing else has happened. I haven't even caught anything on the security cameras other than my cat doing his thing during the day when I'm gone. My landlord got back to me about the security footage from the front door and said that the only strangers she saw were buzzed into the building by residents. So, no weirdos or previous tenants with keys. The police are still patrolling my neighborhood quite often, though, which definitely makes me feel more secure. And they also shared a picture of their cat, which I will show you. Cute little fatty.
Oh, that is a fat one.
That is a big cat.
I was hoping for closure.
I was too, to be honest.
With 2 updates, I thought there was gonna be closure.
This was 6 years ago, so I'm gonna have to go back really far. Oh man, they didn't post any update.
Okay, my last story, well, I have more if we need, but my last story is once again our paranormal, an encounter. Saw something humanoid in the middle of our town, not a joke. Hi, I'm writing this because I honestly don't know how to make sense of what we saw. I'm hoping someone out there might have had a similar experience. This night, around midnight, me and my girlfriend were sitting in the center of our small town. About 17,000 people in Poland. Nothing weird ever happens here. We were on a sidewalk between some old apartment blocks, just talking and laughing. Nothing creepy, no fear, no drugs. We were just having a good night. Then, out of nowhere, both of us noticed, just in the corner of our eyes, something hanging from a tree, like a figure. It disappeared the second we tried to focus on it. So at first, we both thought maybe it was just a trick of the light or our minds. We kept walking and talking for maybe a minute. Suddenly, my girlfriend stopped and stared into one direction. After a second, she turned and bolted in the opposite direction without saying a word. I ran after her, not understanding what was going on. I looked at something for a few seconds and we both ran to my home. Later, when we were safe at my place, she told me she saw something running across the tree. It wasn't human. She said it was completely hairless, pale, humanoid, but not quite right. Its head was a bit pointed and larger than normal. The arms were longer than the legs, the fingers were super long, and the ribs were clearly visible. It had no clothes, no genitals. The feet looked almost like hands. It moved in a way that wasn't right. Fast, twisted, crawling or climbing across the tree. Not like anything a person could do. While I was running after her, I also saw something jump down from the tree and move across the street again, just out of my direct vision. Not enough to see clearly, but definitely there. It wasn't a shadow or illusion, I felt it. I know something was there. We also both heard this strange ambient sound in the background. It wasn't loud, but it was constant, like a high pitched electronic tone mixed with static or mechanical hum. It was there during the whole experience. There were no lights, no animals, no people, no wind loud enough to explain this, no fear beforehand, nothing that could have influenced our minds. It just happened, and it felt too real. I looked up line, and the only thing that even slightly fits is people describing crawlers or some kind of distorted humanoid beings. But I never expected something like that here in the middle of a town between blocks, not in a forest. If anyone has seen something like this or knows where to report this, seriously, I'd really appreciate the advice. We're not crazy, we just want to understand what we saw. She said that some time ago she had seen this head when she had sleep paralysis. There was someone who posted in the comments that they make YouTube videos of firsthand experiences, and I went to go see what it was. I think I found all these stories when I was looking for stories of the rake.
Mhm.
because of how similar it sounds
Yeah.
to all the rakes. Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Paranoia Pair Pod. And we will see you next Friday.
Stay spooky.
Bye.
Bye.